Hey guys, so like, I don't know what's going on up here with all the stars all acting all weird and stuff, but let me tell you something here. You ain't gonna find a better deal on all this stuff from anybody, and I mean anybody in the downside. You can trust me when I tell you that, okay? So go ahead and stock up. Bing! Wow, he's gotten quite a bit of stuff. After dousing the adversary's pyre, Bearer's pyre removes a thing equal to up to 50% of the damage dealt. Interesting. After dousing the adversary's pyre, the bearer's pyre recovers, not removes, health equal to up to 50% of the damage dealt. That is really good. Flame Leech. After getting banished, bearer returns in a burst that draws in nearby adversaries. I don't know how good that would be. After dousing the adversary's pyre, okay, well, there's some good stuff in here, but okay. Shh. We've had enough of you. You know what? I think, what are these? Consumable items. For the next rite, gain 4 quickness, presence, and what is this big one? Permanently gains 1 hope. Ooh. I actually might sell something for that. It's Ruki's Talisman. I don't want to sell Ruki's Talisman, right? Maybe I'll sell one of these cursed items. Hope swing. You know what? I actually might give that back to him. I'm thinking about like who I have to fight here. Well, see you guys around. See you around, guys? Whatever you said. Hey, whatever you said. I'll talk to you in a moment, Volfred. I need to go into here, and I need to go to Tizo. So, the bear's aura remains while grasping the aura, but cannot be cast. He does have +1 presence right now. He's also almost leveled up. I just realized that. So is she. I think I'm going to get maybe 2 more stabs at this. So maybe Ray and Gilman are going to be the ones that I leave behind. Or go forward, everybody else I'll leave behind. You know what I meant. Shut up. Let's see here. I'm kind of considering giving him this back. I am going to. We'll put the, there it is. I was like, wait, where did it go? Cursed hand back in here. Nope, the cursed hand back in here. Volfred. Volfred looks up as you approach and smiles. I never thought I would say such things, my boy, but it is good to wear the raiments and the rites once more. The march of time does not have a way of healing certain hurts. Besides, the Nightwings of today is a very different beast than the Triumvirate, which took me in almost a decade ago. Ours was a Triumvirate of exactly 3, well, 4, with Tizo, who proved to be an exception, though historically the Nightwings never took on more exiles than needed. I have mentioned my predecessor, Brighton, right, and my former companions, Orissa and Orlek. Perhaps naively, I had hoped my time with them would not be relevant directly to what we now attempt. But seeing as our stories are now intertwined, do not let me know if there is more you wish to learn of them. Or see, he invites, or I need to ask him about it. He invites me to inquire about the former Nightwings. Brighton, thus far you have heard only passing's reference. Orissa or Orlek, the demon you met, what was he like before? I do kind of want to know about Orlek. You ask about what Orlek was like before, or when he and Volfred first became acquainted. Volfred remained silent for some time. It was I was very, very sick, you know, when I first landed in the downside. The long trip down the river must have been a little much for me. It was Orlek who found me. He could not have known of my capacity to read before he revived me. He was a physician, intolerant of the sight of suffering of any kind. Not just any physician, mind you, a gifted, highly decorated one. He served on the front. Back then, the skirmishes erupted frequently, and those such as Orlek, they had to deal with many casualties on either side. In time, he said he grew repulsed by what he saw. This sowed in my heart a yearning for an end to all the bloodshed. So, he tried to use his status to negotiate a treaty with the Highwing remnants. It must have gone about how you'd expect. He was given direct orders to return to the front, but when he refused to soil his hands again, they cast him to the downside. Here he gained the notice of the Nightwings, and before long, he grew to be one of the finest right conductors anyone had ever seen. He was instrumental in the liberation of his companions, whose roles in the Triumvirate were later filled by Orisa and me. In time, Orlik's own opportunity for freedom had come up. He longed for it, so that, with his exalted status, he might stand a better chance of negotiating peace. However, on the evening of his liberation, well, you know the story from that point. Wolfred breathes a heavy sigh. He and I were kindled spirits for a while. I could not bear to think that he was gone, and now, I still cannot entirely believe that he is back. He is our adversary now, transformed, grown cold. Still, part of me is happy that he lives. Make no mistake, of course, I shall not be swayed against our plan, not by Orlik or anyone. As I have said before, we share a higher calling now. As for Orlik, he wants his freedom still, although I wonder if he still remembers why. Anyways, was there something else, my boy? This is interesting. Let's ask about Brighton. You inquire about Brighton, who you understand was liberated prior to when Wolfred first joined the Nightwings. I never met Brighton in person, but I know him rather well by now, though, for that matter, my boy. So do you. He studies your reaction for a moment, then. Brighton was born wealthy, but not special otherwise. You would have no reason to have heard of him. He was exiled for negligent misconduct. I do not know why exactly, and do not care for spreading rumors. I first heard of him through Orisa and Orlik, who found in me a suitable replacement following his liberation. They spoke little of him. Orlik gave the impression they did not see eye to eye, but he assured me I soon would hear from him myself. Indeed, as I became accustomed to the book, which you know well by now. There we go. I soon began to hear the voice. Wolfred looks at you, as if to see if you yet take his meaning. You see, my boy, after Brighton's liberation, he assumed a new identity within the Commonwealth, and a new responsibility to the Triumvirate which liberated him. That voice you hear from time to time, whensoever the stars align. It's his. Ooh. He is no longer at Brighton. He is now none other than the Archjustice Androbles the Ninth. Himself. The Grand Judge and figurehead under whose watch the Commonwealth is governed in this day. Liberated exiles retain certain burdens to their old triumvirates. They have much to thank for them for. Not just for their freedom, but their exalted status in the Commonwealth. The theocratic rulers of the Commonwealth, they do not wear masks and raiment simply for the sake of ceremony. They are not who they appear to be. Their public pasts are nothing but fabrication, like Brighton. They once were exiles too. Brighton, that voice, he has no love for either one of us by now. He knows full well what we attempt to do, yet he is bound by the traditions of the rites. He shall always stand on ceremony and complain, but I think he knows deep down that he is powerless. How ironic that one of such high status in the Commonwealth should be so frightened of some long-forgotten exiles such as we. Anyway, that's Brighton for you. He must have seen in you potential to be one of his staunch supporters for a time. If that's a path you'd wanted to pursue, I should apologize. Now then, whom else should we talk about? Well, obviously, Orisa. But I'm gonna take a drink of water before this next one because his voice is hard to do. delicious. You ask about Orisa, who you understand betrayed Orlek at the moment of his liberation, but then perished in the shimmering pool. I'm afraid you know the brunt of it, my boy, but I suppose you ought to know something of Orisa's past, lest you be quick to judge her solely by her actions. Mind you, I would never make excuses for the terrible choices that she ultimately made, but her life, I understand, was very difficult. Okay. Orisa had been exiled for the foulest of acts. You could see it plainly branded on her face. Such was the erroneous of what she did in the eyes of the Commonwealth. Was she branded? I can't tell. She was an apprentice blacksmith in her youth, taking up the post left by her brother. He had fallen in battle on the blood border, despite wielding their father's own lance and armor. Her father never quite recovered after this, and had grown cruel and detached. It was Orisa who took the brunt of his fury. He expected the impossible of her. One day, it was all too much for her. So when next he lashed out at her, she struck back. She struck back again and again and again. When they came for her, her father was gone, and she was not herself. She was promptly cast into the downside for the crime, where her hatred for the Commonwealth only grew. Orisa always was intense with her demeanor, haunted by her father's memory. More than that, her chief motive for wanting back her freedom was, in hindsight, not a healthy one. She longed to join our nation's enemies, to build for the High Wing remnants a great siege engine that could shatter the defenses of the Commonwealth and forever end our feud. What she ultimately did to Orlek, it was an act of pure and thoughtless desperation. I do not think that it was simply evil, nor do I think that it was personal. I often wondered, though, if, in her final moments in the shivering pool, she understood what she had done and the depths to which she had fallen. For years, I must admit, I hated her, but now, my only hope is that she found a peace untenable during her relatively short life in the downside and the Commonwealth. Furthermore, I hope the life of Orisa offers some perspective yet to those of us who have not made the same mistakes. Now then, was there something else? Oh god, no, I've talked to you for far too long, my voice is hurting. You bid Wilfred a good afternoon, and leave him with his memories. My pleasure, reader. Reflecting on the past from time to time helps demonstrate how far we've come, yet how much farther we have to go. I see. Let us go to the rites. Commence them. Once more, you have gained the fall of Salam, where one of you may go free. But first, you shall have to prevail against the withdrawn in the Liberation War. Reader, your companions are gathered here under the fall. They shall be counting on you. Indeed, and as the rites turns ever faster, so too is our plan set in motion. My agents in the Commonwealth are beginning to cause a bit of a stir out there, and word has reached high places that the rites are ending. This is our chance, though. Let us not despair should victory elude us here. We shall make the most of whatever the scribes may have in store for us. That is to say, good luck, my boy. It's time. I see. What's this new one? Your adversary's Pyre shall recover up to 5 each time the douse here. Nope. I'm just not even gonna worry about it. It's too much of an additional challenge that I just don't need, I think. Through a wondrous miracle, there lies upon the highest mountain an inverted fall whose waters cry.
Once more, the Nightwings gain the summit of the sacred Mount Aladiel to conduct the liberation rite. Even as the stars themselves abandon you. Make good upon these final opportunities, reader. This glorious age-old tradition coming to an end upon your watch. I trust your adversaries, the withdrawn, shall not throw away this chance. Choose now who may go free. should they unfortunately fail.
The pyres burn, and each of our triumphants is present and prepared. I concur. The pyres burn, and each of our triumphants is present and prepared. Then, anointed one of the withdrawn, come forth now, and declare yourself, and pay any respects you have unto your adversaries, the Nightwings. Udme appears from the shadows and reaches for her mask. We are known to be rich Udme, our adversaries. They are nothing to us, oh, the one we serve. Ye shall be devoured in the coming age, an age of strife, rotted down by the fell wings and many seeing eyes of Vishlak, the astral burn. You speak a blasphemy upon the sacred site Udmer. If you value your liberty, then I suggest you cease your mocking of the scribes. The scribes, they failed to stop Yeshua, and he shall rise again. As for ye Nightwings, ye have no consequence to Yeshlak's grand design. She dons her mask once more. Soon we shall return unto the land which Yeshlak shall usurp, where we shall offer him our blood, and that of many, many others. Well then. Nightwings, your decision on whose behalf you shall conduct the liberation rite. Reader, I would ask you to choose wisely, but I am sure you know no other way. And you, prepare your song, Tarek. Of course, Celeste. Is he gonna write her like a love song? Oh, you mean me? That I get to go home? But the 8 scribes, what if they still want me to stay? Oh, don't be so unsure of yourself. Tizo does have a pretty big buff here, but against these slow-moving buttheads, I mean, they're basically her. I think I should take Pumitha and Sir Gilman.
Sir Gilman.
By this knight's honor, he shall fight with all his might. And then finally, is this Tarek's song in the background? It's pretty good. So here's the thing. I could take Tizo, right? Obviously, we're taking Gilman because he has the buff. He has the additional presence buff, which is really nice for this one. And I should take Tizo because he's almost leveled up. But I told you before, you know, like Pumitha is my favorite character to play. At least as of now that I'm kind of missing out on my other characters. So it's her. All right. Let's see what I can do for her, Rita, darling. Soon, Yeshlak, very soon we shall release thee. We shall release thee, and for ye Nightwings, we have much in store for ye. She's so evil. Why she gotta be so evil?